Wow, live again with another edition of Clean Kin. Hope all is well, guys. Let's take a peeky here. Got me a new chair. How's everyone been? Got me this new gamer chair. Nice and nice and comfy. Nice and comfy. How's everyone been? And again, a big epic fail on my end. But I guess if you are owning it and if you acknowledge it, then it's a start. We are on what now is it? Friday night. This should have been done Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So now we're on early morning of Friday, 12:45 on the East Coast. It would be refreshing, would it not, if I could just do this at the regular day and time. That's why I really need to just kind of man. That's why notification bell and all that good stuff works. It works because then I I really need to get to a set schedule and a set time. Hopefully that will be very soon. But I do like my fucking new gamer chair. It's one thing I do like. Mr. Cody Ray, how you doing, man? How you doing? A lot to talk about in the world of wrestling the last couple of days, last couple of weeks, actually. Um, and it's the usual overreaction sometimes of certain things, and it just makes your head spin. But a couple of things that I seen over um, past couple of weeks that I really want to get to as I'm looking at my notes here. Where do we begin? Where do we begin? The big hype. The big hype for AEW. Been hyped and hyped for like a good solid week. Good solid week. To quote the great Justin Lovar on Twitter, the hype for this has gotten crazy. Makes for good anticipation to tune in. But I hope there is a fair evaluation of what is a big signing and what's a he's nice to have type of a deal. So Labar quoted Wrestling Inc., which said in quote where they quoted Tony Khan, and Tony Khan said, "quote only a handful know of the big AEW signing, and that big AEW signing, bask in his glory, Keith Lee." And listen, I think it's nice to have a anticipation factor, right? In in pro wrestling, it's just sometimes we really need to like pump the brakes a little bit sometimes and realize the difference between a huge signing and what's a good addition to the roster. The way it's phrased can really do value your big names in comparison, right? That, and it could also be a pretty big type of pretty big letdown to fans as well. Listen, I understand why it's done, but I think there really needs to be a little bit more discretion on like the wording and how you use it. Listen, no disrespect to Keith Lee. Love the guy. Love the guy. Now listen, if you want to play semantics, he was an absolutely a big signing. Listen, he doesn't, but it doesn't, pale in comparison to Brian and Punk, that's for sure. Given the amount of guys signed in the past several months, the phrasing has been overhyped, right? But again, playing semantics, big signing. Listen, it is a big signing. Look how big and physical that dude, and on the other side, Keith Lee is. Uh, Monster of a guy, and hopefully he will be used better over here than where he was in AEW, in WWE rather, because that was a travesty. That was a absolute travesty. And listen, they have him going up against, and the guy that they had him going up against, what was it, part of Private Party? Perfect, perfect, skinny dude, athletic dude that could keep up with Keith Lee. Sold sold his ass off completely. Um, so I mean that's something I liked. Um, Definitely probably felt good to be out of that tennis skirt that he had on there. That's for sure. Um, Huge, huge. He looks like $1 million. He looked like $1 million. The only thing I worry about, okay, um, I just hope he does not get lost in the shuffle, man. I really, really do hope that he does not get lost in the shuffle. That roster is just too oversaturated. Too many dudes on that roster. I think he would have been maybe better suited on Impact. The selfish one in me wants him to be on NWA. I knew that's not going to happen. But I just really hope he does not get lost in the shuffle, man. I just hope he does not get lost in the shuffle. Too many people on the roster, and again, too little time just to get everyone in. Like I mean, and they really need to, put him in a meaningful story. In a meaningful story, and get him going to, on a good type of pace. I think too often you kind of start a story. I don't know what it is, but they just start a story there and they never finish it. Again, you had Punk versus I don't know Kingston, and that was like a one-off match, and that was it. And then you had Daniel Bryan, who just goes up against um, your cowboy there twice, and that's kind of it. I know he lost twice, but there is the end of story. Yeah, I mean, and that's the problem. Like, I don't know what's Neville and Pac doing. What's Pac doing? He's on one week and he's off another week. Like Andrade, everyone's second coming. Andrade in one week, off the next 2 weeks, on the following week, and it's always cutting a promo. Now it's just being put together with a random group like the Hall of Fame, the Hall of Fame, the Hardy Office, and it just makes no sense. They try to piece it together, and that's why you have all these factions because you're trying to get everyone on TV, but all these factions do not make any damn sense, and they really don't try to explain it all that well either. Listen again, just to not sound long-winded. Um, listen, Keith Lee, big fan of Keith Lee. I think Tony Khan overhyped it a little bit. To be fair, but Keith Lee, I wish him all the best in the AEW. I just hope he does not get lost in the shuffle because there are just too many people on that roster. And I just hope he doesn't fight the guy Private Party for the next 6 weeks in a row like you had with Orange Cassidy and Adam Cole. Like, damn, people talk about SmackDown having repetitive matches. And that was a repetitive match after week after week after week in Cole versus Orange Cassidy. I will tell you one thing though. Now it's just kind of sticking to AEW. Finally, just a team I think now that will finally be able to step out of this shadow of just being in a damn faction, kind of move on to the tag scene is Santana and Ortiz, man. Finally, it looks like they're breaking up the inner circle, and it's time to move on. This team, man, I remember from Impact days when they were just kicking ass against the OGs there in Homicide and Hernandez with Kingston, Conan and Kingston, and all that just meshed well together. And I really was a big fan of them since then in Impact. And then they came over here. Yeah, granted they were on part of the major storylines for the first beginning there of AEW, but after a while they just kind of were there and really just kind of were there and not doing anything. So I really want to kind of see finally Santana and Ortiz just kind of mix it up and go head to head with some of the tag teams there. Just they've just been underused, underused. Yeah, and that's been said that this is like it's going to be interesting too, like with all these wrestlers that they have and their contracts, that when it's going to become time to make decisions on contracts, it's going to be interesting to see when some of these people that everyone loves are not being re-signed, how they will react to Tony Khan. Because right now Tony Khan is the second coming of Jesus Christ. He could do no wrong. Part of a Facebook group that I remember this group way back when. It had to deal with like Busted Open, and it was a bunch of us that kind of just really just were just chatting along on Facebook, and we became a like our own group there from the Busted Open page, yada yada yada, and we used to shoot straight, not be afraid to rag on any promotion, tell it like it is, and then all of a sudden AEW comes along. AEW comes along, and it's the second coming of Jesus Christ. AEW cannot do no wrong. My God. Speaking of which, one thing that I really, really do hate, and this is, and I'm gonna sound like the guy that says "get off my yard" type of a scenario. NWA always touted itself, and I've always said that they are the true alternative to really what is out there. There's nothing flashy about it. It's just plain and simple. Just what you see is what you get. No entrance music. No, no ridiculous skits or sketches, and you're not having none of that. I still think that that NWA roster could cut a promo with anyone, probably pound for pound with anyone. They're coherent. It makes sense. The stories that they're trying to put out there. But you've done something that, and it's like a pet peeve again. It's sounding like the guy that says "get off my grass," but there you go. You have Matt Cardona not really doing much of anything in NWA, and he gets a title shot. I hate that. That is a pet peeve. I do not understand it. It makes me sick. And Billy lied to me. They are just like every other corporate, like every other Fed. But I forgive you, Billy, because you are my wrestling savior. If you don't check out NWA, check it out. That's one of, I just can't say enough about NWA. And does Cardona, and I think I said this before, but does Cardona really bring that much attention to the NWA to kind of like warrant him getting a title shot? Absolutely not. And I don't know how all of a sudden all these all these wrestling fans all of a sudden are in love with Matt Cardona. Jesus Christ, this is really bizarro world. It really is. Yeah, I mean, but again, they're not trying to be, like you said, Cody, not trying to be a WWE or AEW. But when you pull crap, like giving a dude that just came off the street a title shot, that just breaks my heart, man. that, that breaks my wrestling heart, man. It really does. What also breaks my wrestling heart, I don't know if you guys caught this before, but there was an interview, a recent interview, where the Miz, not the, well, let me rephrase that. There is a recent interview, where AJ Styles said that he considers the Miz one of the greatest heels in the industry today. Wow. And that being said, just kind of took me back for a loop. Just kind of like thinking it over. Like, I don't know if AJ Styles just thought about it, but like when he explained it as if he like already, like he's like, yeah, the Miz. I'm serious. The Miz is one of the best heels in the industry right now. Now, I like to a heel to me, like to go back old school, is like someone that is like so despicable that you hate him, kind of blurs the line of what is real and what's not. Like I remember CM Punk back in just to bring something current, back in the straight edge society days, just being an absolute scumbag heel, just a dude that you hated. I remember guys like going back even further. I remember guys like let's say Iron Sheik, right? Even a guy like that who played on the emotions of of the strings of your heart of USA, and USA is horrible. Guys like Nikolai Volkov did the same thing. Just really wanted, just you hated them. Despicable heels, like you couldn't stand them. The Miz, and I guess maybe people have different standards, but the Miz has always been like a absolute like chicken shit type of a heel. Now I get it that majority of the heels are chicken shit, but that's like mostly what he was known for just I can't, I think of when he did the parody of Cena and the Bellas, and one of the Bellas, Nikki Bella, but I can't really think of anything that the Miz did that was like downright, um, downright, like despicable. Um, and I know he has a longevity of being a heel, but I don't know if I would have gone that route the way Styles had gone. I probably, like, if I were doing this like right now, like current, I think probably when he's really like when they really let him go full steam, I think probably one of the better heels right now currently in current modern era would be a guy like, if you told me a guy like Kevin Owens, that is a dude that is despicable. Like you really want to just punch him in the face. The Miz is like, I don't know, like kind of like go away type of a deal. Like just I don't know. I just different. I just don't see it being the best type of heel like Kevin Owens. A guy like MJF, and I know MJF does not have longevity right now to him. He's only been really like on the main stage for 2 years or so. But being that he's from the same area that I am from, more or less, we're practically neighbors. I think where he lives, it's like Plainview, Long Island, and where I live is like on the border of Long Island. So that's a quick hop and a skip. But he's been like this on the Indies since day one, and just been getting better and better every year. Roddy Piper, yeah, great definition of a heel. Exactly. Um, yeah, I agree too. Probably towing the company line and trying to play it safe. But Rowdy Piper, great definition of a heel. That slipped my mind too. Slipped my mind too. Man, even going back, like Waylon Mercy. Now he wasn't around for like a long period of time, but Waylon Mercy, when he was on WWE or WWF, was phenomenal. So even guys that had shorter careers, just I don't know, doesn't Miz doesn't strike me as the first person to um, you know come out as the greatest heel per se. But it's Mr. Styles, and it's Mr. Styles, and who are we to say, right? So, and not for nothing though, the Miz too is one of these guys that just never gets sick. I mean, never gets injured. So props to him. Might not think that he is the greatest heel, but props to him for never like really being injured. I think until recently he was just injured there for a short period of time. Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy have been making the news. Well, Matt Hardy more than Jeff Hardy recently. Apparently, um, Matt Hardy still wrestles. Yes, and it's in AEW with the Hardy family office with Butcher and the Blade and the Bunny, and then Private Party, and then you have now you have Andrade there and some type of a business deal. So he's doing that thing over there. But Matt Hardy um, apparently was offered a spot back to come back into the Royal Rumble, and he was offered kind of sweeten the deal. He was offered a Hall of Fame um, spot as well. So they wanted him to come back, and they wanted to give him a Hall of Fame induction by himself though, and not with his brother. And apparently he said no. Apparently this is according to Jeff. No, according to Matt Hardy. I always get them confused. Matt and 30 years later, here I still am. So, yeah, it was Matt Hardy um, that saying that Jeff Hardy said no to a Royal Rumble appearance and a spot in the Hall of Fame, and Jeff Hardy would only be going in solo, and it would not be with his brother Matt Hardy. So apparently Jeff Hardy said no to that, and he just wanted his drug test results released. Weird situation, man. Just a completely weird situation it was. So if you remember the story, he basically like was in the middle of a house show and just kind of just left the ring and just was walking around the ring for a little period of time there, and then went into the crowd and just left, and that was it. And apparently, WWE wanted, yeah, apparently WWE wanted to just put him in the rehab, and he said no. Apparently, WWE didn't believe that he was on the straight and narrow, and they then they released him, and then they realized that they messed up, and they wanted him back. Very tricky situation when you are kind of are dealing with issues and dealing with demons, and you're going through your stuff there, and you mess up once, you mess up twice, you get back on your horse again, which is the important thing. But now you have a reputation of messing up, and they don't know what to believe, and they went with their gut, and it backfired on them. And they want him back because they realize that even at this point of his career, he's still a draw. And want him back, and want to put him in the Hall of Fame. Sometimes it's a little bit easier said than done. It's not that easy, and Vince does not always get, and he won't always get what he wants. I think, who am I? Yeah, because I remember interviews prior to this where he wanted to do something with his Willow character. I know he got the Willow theme back. He got his theme that he wanted during his run as champion. There, he got that back recently. It's. I think he was just frustrated. Honestly, this might have been like a clever plan to do whatever he did, and just to kind of get out or have an out, and just go on his way. Um, I'm sure he probably wants to wrestle in AEW. I don't see why not. There was no sign of him saying that he wants to retire. He was just all about it. He talked about having a program with Roman, and then it kind of just was pushed to the side. And I think really that's what happened right there. And he was discouraged. He wanted it out. I think that's what it came down to. And listen, if you're gonna put in one Hardy, if you were, you gotta put in both at the same time. Um, Jeff was always the more charismatic one. You knew that earlier on. Not that version one, and then you had the delete. You had that with Jeff, with Matt. So you know that he was very very creative as well. But in WWE's eyes, they always seen Matt as being that main event guy, and you were probably thinking, let me just put in one guy because the other guy's in a different company now. But that's just adding insult to injury by not putting both of them in at the same time. At the very least, sure you could have worked something out with. You could work something out with AEW. I don't know, but that's kind of I think he just kind of wanted an out. Unfortunately, I think really that's what it is. And Dave, even if you think about it, even if really you kind of can't do the justification of putting one of them in. Yes, he had the title run, but that title run, when you look at the TLC matches, that was all the genesis right there of all your TLC for that set up the pay per views later on, and that right there, Edge, Christian, Hardys, and the Dudleys. That was the genesis. That right there, you got to put both of them in at the same time. So it'll be interesting to see. Um, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised at this point to see Jeff Hardy there. But at the end of the day, too, I wouldn't be surprised to see. I wouldn't be surprised to see Jeff Hardy come back at the end of the day to the WWE as well, because that's really where that is his home as much as there is back and forth and yelling and argument thing. You know how it is. You always find a way to come back home. Say, at least that's what I think. So, but you will probably see one last run with the Hardys, and then you have all the dream matches of the Hardys versus FTR versus the Young Bucks. So all the internet will be able to rejoice and be glad. Moxley, just skipping back to now that we're talking about AEW again, Moxley put out his book is out. So there is an excerpt that I thought was very, very uh, telling. And it's okay, whether we are the biggest WWE fan or the biggest AEW hater, to admit when something is right. And dude is right on this. Let me read you the excerpt here because I just had it. And I was looking at it, and this is 100% true. By the way, freaking Scarlet. My, my, my. In Rahway, New Jersey, that, my friend, Rahway is a hop and a skip. Worth the price of admission just seeing Scarlet Bordeaux. But here was the excerpt for Mock's book online. He goes, I used to have a theory that Vince's plan was to scuttle the ship, intentionally crashing and burning WWE, like the Hindenburg, before he died, so that nobody, not Hunter, Steph, or Shane, could ever take it over. I pictured him cackling mechanically, maniacally. I pictured him cackling. What's cackle? Like laughing like a maniac, right? Laughing like a maniac while hundreds of drums of gasoline exploded atop Titan Towers, having the last laugh. Dude, remember that one promo where Vince brought back the NWO and he's all like, I'm going to kill it. I'm going to kill my creation. See what I'm saying? It makes perfect sense. What other explanation is there for this horse shit we're putting on TV? I wondered. I finally decided he'd just lost the plot and was so isolated in his own world, so disconnected from reality, he would never recover creatively. He's lost his magic, I decided. That the Walt Disney magic that only Vince has, and when he dies, it will be gone forever. Hunter was smart enough to hire half the indies and take the Instagram selfies with them. But he ain't got the magic. Shane McMahon, oh boy, has he made the news, right? Shane McMahon would probably stick a M80 up his ass and light it if he thought that's what the fans wanted to see. But he ain't got it either. Fortunately, though, when Vince is gone, that magic will live on in the hearts and minds of the fans forever. I think John Moxley has a hell of a future as a theorist because he's pretty fucking spot on with his theory. How about that from the great John Moxley? John Moxley, author. And it's so like listen, I'm thinking that maybe Moxley didn't like Mitch the Plant. Is this where it's all started from? Because Mitch DePlant was fucking over. Mitch DePlant was over. And whose ever idea Mitch DePlant was, that was fucking money. And I remember when Moxley, listen, and Moxley is also, you could theorize that he's actually like a guy that could predict the future. Like he was wearing this anthrax mask and he was predicting, 2021 and 2022 and 2020 with the masks. So John Moxley is quite the man of many skills and many talents, but that was absolutely spot on. I could see. I mean, I like the. Did you see? I'm looking at your comments, Cody, and did you see the what was that? I think that was at the Royal Rumble. No, yeah, no, at the Royal Rumble, and Nick Khan was Nick Khan was in the audience, and then there was like a running meme of Nick Khan is just scouting what people he's gonna be releasing soon. So and I hate and I, that honestly cracked me up. But I hate I just some people don't understand that like you heard the earnings, like WWE is making money hand over fist. Now granted, some of the releases, I just going back again, but an old topic, but some of these releases were justified. Some of them were just collecting a check. Now, yes, granted, it's a part Talon's fault, part WWE's fault, somewhere in the middle. Some of them should not have been letting go, but others were just not doing much of anything anyway. It might have been it's better that they were let go. But just because you're making money hand over fist, you have allocations and money that you want to spend, and you have financial like projections that you have to meet for the following year and the year after that, and you have to make sure you're positioned to meet those goals. People don't understand that. You don't understand just because you're making money, that does not mean that you keep on signing and not releasing. That's not the way it works. You have investors and people you got to answer to, and different projections that you have to meet the following year and the year after that, and all that other nonsense. But yeah, I mean, I could see WWE being sold. I mean, I don't think it's going anywhere. I think I could see it being sold to a corporation like NBC. How the product will look, um, they will probably stay the course, that they're doing. They're a publicly traded company. I don't see that changing. You need sponsors, so they're not. It's not going to be rated R or PG-14. And even if they did do that, I mean, again, going back to an old topic, but even if they did do that, look, you have like already you have NXT 2.0, which listen, I am everyone knocks it, but I am again, I'll say it again, I am a fan of it. They have a product that's a little bit more on the edgier side, and people already complain about that, and they can't handle it. It's too much for them. So, I mean, it's, but it just, it doesn't cease to amaze me. What does not also, what also continues to amaze me, speaking of which, just jumping into just a Raw for a quick second. Jumping into Raw. Um, Alpha freaking Academy. Chad Gable with his thank you. Thank you. It is absolutely the best. Fucking finally, Chad Gable has been finally, finally, Chad Gable has been able to put everything all together and just finally strike gold. Finally able to strike gold, and it's all coming together for Chad Gable. Uh, RK Bro, what they've did, um, still, still one of the best storylines on Raw, with the calibration and the spelling bee and all that good stuff. I love it. I, I don't think Vince has confidence in Triple H and stuff. And Shane McMahon, well, I mean, according to the dirt sheets there, Shane McMahon is Gonzo, Dunzo, Sayonara. I personally do not believe that at all. I think that was how how funny was Shane Mc Shane McMahon Shane McMahon Shane McMahon potential. That guy has potential, pal. He's a really triple of the whole block. Oh man, Shane just absolutely tearing it up on Royal Rumble. And he only gets eliminated by what was it, Brock's suplexes, and is out punching Riddle. And I don't think I think I made like another video on that prior. I don't think Shane McMahon is really gone from the WWE. I think this is actually like um, part of whatever they were trying to do, part of some storyline, and he's going to be coming back. But if I don't think anyone really truly believes that um, Shane McMahon is gone. And yes, Chad Kim. Now that I putting two and two together, Chad Gable has potential, man. It's taken him a while, and look, that just goes to show you that and Chad Gable was given plates of shit to eat. Uh, what was it? Shorty G given a giant plate of crap to eat and stuck with it, put his head down and tried to make the best of it. And now they finally found something that works. So very happy for Alpha Academy. Very happy for Chad Gable. He definitely is on the rise there, and can't wait to see. And he's stuck around there for a reason. So even when he wasn't really doing much of anything, they kept him around, and I think that's a wise decision that they made. Matt, oh, shortage, yeah. Look, and they seen something in him. The writers it's that's the thing. Like sometimes it takes automatically people think like when these wrestlers come up, I don't know. I think the fans they just don't want to give the dude a chance, or just kind of let it play out and let it develop. I think part of the problem is like the writers don't even know who the person is really, and they're trying to make something stick. And there you go, you made something stick. Just like my buddy, who I believe was also mentioned, forgot who mentioned it, but he was mentioned as being a star to look forward for. There we go. A star to look forward for. Look to Madcap Moss. Madcap Moss. That dude, as much as there's someone that said that he is like this, I forget who it was in front of me. Madcap Moss. Someone said that he is the dude to look for as a future star here. And I know that he was part of the Raw Underground. I'll tell you right now who said that, because if it's not on the internet, it doesn't exist. Let's see. Yes, Paul Heyman, and I quote, pick this up here. Paul Heyman picks SmackDown star to be a future main eventer. Paul Heyman has picked SmackDown star Riddick Moss, known as Madcap Moss, in WWE as a future main eventer. Riddick Moss spent 5 years with NXT, starting from 2014. This was 4 days ago in an interview. Madcap Madcap Moss, future star, dude. If people like hate it, hysterical. That is the point of the whole presentation of Madcap, just to kind of constantly like the jokes are horrible. And that's the point. They're supposed to be horrible, and you're supposed to just hate him. And his whole getup just makes you want to smack him around. See, look, I could tell jokes too, and I can't be as bad as Madcap Moss. Look, like for example, I am afraid for the calendar. Its days are numbered. Now, see if Madcap Moss be as funny as that? No. Singing in the shower is fun until you get soap in your mouth. Then it's a soap opera. Now, if Madcap Moss said a joke like that, he would get cheered. Or what do you call a fish wearing a bow tie? What do you call a fish wearing a bow tie? Sophisticated. How do you follow Will Smith in the snow? How do you follow Will Smith in the snow? You follow the Fresh Prince. There you go. And perfect. I love Madcap Moss. I love Happy Corbin. Let's not change that at all. Dudes are funny. So I see it. I could, I think the gimmick is fine. I think a lot more people like it than they actually hate it. At least the circle that I am around it, that I am around, they hate it. But listen, it's not a far stretch. There's really not much that you have to keep up with the character. It's an easy character to portray, and I think it's fine for the guy. I really do, and I think you'll be seeing a lot more of Madcap. So, did you hear that the great Chris Jericho, 5 years past retirement already at this point, the great Chris Jericho said the following. Pull up the article. Chris Jericho explains he's now the Undertaker of AEW. Chris Jericho believes that he has taken on the role of the Undertaker in AEW. And he spoke with Brian Jones, popculture.com, and he said that he's not sure how long he will wrestle, but his role in AEW is very similar to the Taker's role in WWE before he retired. You don't really think about it, Jericho said. I mean, obviously, now at 51, there's more years behind me than ahead of me. But if you would have asked me 5 years ago where I was going to go, I probably would have said I'll probably stop in the next few years. But then AEW started and it just rejuvenated everything for me. Now, not that there's any comparison, but I think I'm kind of taking on like the Undertaker role in the WWE for his last few years there, where every time he does something, it's impactful, it means something. He's a benefit to have in a locker room. He's a leader, he's very experienced. He could tell guys and girls what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong, and it's just a good person to have around your roster. He says that he likes the idea of going from being the top guy in AEW to one who helps make new stars. Jericho also said that his presence in AEW will be felt for many more years to come. Undertaker just kind of, if Undertaker was in a grave, he would kind of just roll over a bit there. He honestly would. And I think I see what he's trying to say. He's the guy with the most experience in the company, who could give advice, be an inspiration. Comparing yourself to The Undertaker, it's really a little bad. That's a real hot take there. That's a little bit too much. Um, you know, now, and a lot of people were knocking him, but to his defense, if you don't take it literally and base it on longevity, and still be able to perform, then he could stand by his statement. I remember when I started, watching wrestling a lot. A lot were over 50. A lot of the dudes were over 50. Um, Times have changed, obviously, but they really changed a lot. Um, Look, he's had matches. He's had some very memorable matches all around the globe and all around the world. So he does have um, he definitely has a point. He just has to be careful, I think, where he does not really want to put himself in like a category where he is just embarrassing himself. And when you start embarrassing yourself, or and I know Father Time catches up with everyone, but you got to make sure that you gotta keep everything in perspective, and you kind of gotta know when it's time to go and when it's time to retire. Um, Hopefully, Jericho does know that, but and hopefully he has learned from his bad hair job, his bad coloring of his hair from 2 or 3 weeks ago. That was absolutely hideous and horrible. I think that is it that I had all for tonight. Um, Obviously, we're gonna have the elimination chamber. Oh, the elimination chamber. Yes, the elimination chamber. Two things I wanted to talk about in the elimination chamber, or that relate to the elimination chamber. And I get this, and we get the same type of, the same type of complaint, the same type of or observation, or the same type of 2 cents from all the wrestling fans. We know that it's WrestleMania season. Um, we know that's when, in WrestleMania season, we know that's when all the fans will start coming out, and all the big stars will be coming out. The people that watch wrestling once a year, just watch it for WrestleMania, starting to um, maybe peek in Raw every once in a while, or peek in on SmackDown every once in a while. And you want to put the marquee names out there on the billboards, and the old customary conversation comes up. Well, such and such person is taking such and such spot from such and such person. I mean, the person only had, whoever is being left out, that person has only had what, a whole year to get over and make themselves meaningful. But we hear the same scenario and the same thing over and over again, right? So it's always bound to happen. And this is not exactly WrestleMania yet, but it's on the road to WrestleMania. And we have the complaint about Goldberg having a shot at Roman Reigns on Elimination Chamber. It's quite simple. Okay, first of all, it's where Saudi Arabia. Okay, Saudi Arabia wants the prince, the king, whoever it may be. They want all the big stars. I'm sure they maybe even think that, that maybe even Andre the Giant and is alive, and Hulk Hogan is still in its prime. Who knows? But he's a big star. The prince, king want him. He goes to Saudi Arabia. And why does he get a title shot in Saudi Arabia? Because a lot of the smart marks and a lot of the fans, they want to know, why does he get an automatic title shot at Elimination Chamber against Roman Reigns? Well, it's quite simple. The man once upon a time was like 170 and something, and he's a Hall of Famer. That's all you need to know. That's why he gets the title shot. And on a serious note, they actually did build it in why he's getting a title shot, because this match was supposed to happen 2 years ago and never happened. So I don't know if and I believe 2 years ago Goldberg was the champion, I believe, or but whatever the reason. There's your reason. It was a match that was supposed to happen 2 years ago, and now Coincidentally, Roman Reigns is the champion, and Goldberg will get a shot. I mean, after all, the guy did win 170 matches straight at once upon a time. That's all you need to know. That's why he's getting the shot. I think a lot of fans kind of listen. A lot of fans kind of overanalyze this, and this has been going on for so many times over so many years recently. That's all that there is to it. Um, we also have Ronda Rousey coming back, going up against Charlotte. I think that is the match that everyone wants to see. Ronda Rousey is a draw. She will definitely bring people watching now, whether she's bitter or not, whether she's on there willingly, happily. She has a contract. She has to perform. But she still has that draw. Very convincible in her presentation, and I there is a story to tell from previous WrestleManias, so I think that's shaping up to be a very good watch and a very good card for WrestleMania. So that will be it for me. I am gonna be heading out. I do want to jump back on. Do want to jump back on and before the Elimination Chamber pay per view, make some predictions. And throughout the week here, I do post wrestling videos, and post also other sports content. I have another channel. It's spelled GRES. It's about crime scene location, famous pop culture things, famous graves, things along that nature and avenue. So it's been real once again. Thank you for watching, Cody. Man, I appreciate you for jumping in on the chat, and definitely wish you all the best. I'll be back on here with this podcast, video cast, and hopefully someone actually likes this bull crap. And I'll be on in 2 weeks, so maybe a week from now. Who knows? Who knows? Consistency is the key. Consistency. I hope all is well, and until